This morning, there is breaking 2016 news. Donald Trump losing some support for the first time in this GOP race. CNN ORC's poll is out this morning. It's the first major poll since the Republican debate last Wednesday. What it shows is a Carly Fiorina surge. Now you can see here, Trump still leads the list of candidates overall with 24% support, remarkable support, but that's down 8% since early September. Fiorina is now at 15%. That's way up from 3% before. What a difference a debate seems to make. So how's Trump reacting? Well, here's what he told Jake Tapper on CNN's State of the Union.
Let's start with these new poll numbers. They show you're still in the lead by a wide margin, but you have lost some support with Carly Fiorina and Rubio going up considerably. What do you make of it all?
Well, I'm a little surprised because other polls have come out where I actually picked up after the debate. I actually gained after the debate. I'm in first place in every poll, but gained substantially in a couple of them. So I'm a little surprised, but, you know, it's a poll.
Summer officially ends on Tuesday. But is the summer of Trump already over? You know, media outlets have been benefiting from Trump's heat, no doubt about that. But I wonder if the press is going to tear him down just as fast as it built him up. My guests know more about politics and media than just about anyone. Let's bring them in. Glenn Thrust, chief political correspondent at Politico, and Ana Marie Cox, the political columnist and podcaster who just this week took over the talk column at the New York Times Magazine. Thank you both for being here this morning.
Great to be here.
Good to be here.
You all know how these news cycles work. Does it feel like the love affair, so to speak, is over between the Trump and the media, Glenn?
Well, I don't know if it's over. You know, if you look at our website, you'll see the top 10 stories, and usually 6 out of 10 are Trump. You know, I was surprised he didn't say that, you know, your poll didn't oversample losers, Muslims, and Mexicans. I just think, you know, we have collectively, and I think history is going to show this, we have not exactly covered ourselves in glory over the past 3 months in terms of our coverage of this guy.
You're feeling a little bit embarrassed about the summer of Trump, so to speak?
I wouldn't say I feel embarrassed. I just think he has found the soft spot. You know, he's kind of like that missile at the end of Star Wars that finds the one flaw in the Death Star. He has really filled the space between sort of politics and media. He fully understands what we need. He's obviously blown our ratings and our web traffic through the roof. The question, what does this have to do with electing a competent president?
I think we have learned a lot, actually, about the Republican electorate through the rise of Trump. Ana, let me ask you what you make of this idea that maybe Trump is more vulnerable than he was before the debate on Wednesday. Do you sense that? And do you agree with Glenn that this hasn't been a shining moment for the American political press?
I agree with Glenn that this hasn't been a shining moment for the American political press, although I'm not sure if I could point to a shining moment in the recent past
oh,
at all,
come
but
on.
It's been especially bad. I've called this actually that Trump is sort of the media's open mic moment because we're sort of having to decide how to cover him on the fly because he hasn't fit into any of the preconceived narratives that we've had for him. He hasn't sort of followed any of the trajectories that people have predicted. So the media's kind of had to like vamp as they cover him. I do think that the media has faltered in covering him, mainly because they've covered him as a personality. They've covered his remarks as sort of outrage upon outrage. And I think it's actually the conservative media that's opposed to him that's covered his policies and critiqued his policies and critiqued his hypocrisy better than the mainstream media. I think you'll find sort of more comprehensive coverage there in places like the National Review, which certainly is not a place that I would go for, you know, to cover the Democratic Party necessarily, but they're covering Trump pretty well. As far as the debate performance, I think he definitely faltered. But I'm not sure, but I, like everyone else, I'm scared to say when the summer of Trump is actually going to be over. We might be in for the autumn of Trump as well.
Well, that's the thing, right? Every single week on cable news, there's been a risk of predicting this too soon. But I was looking on screen here at a tweet I want to put up on the television screen. It's from Alex Burns of the New York Times. He wrote this morning about the new CNN poll. He said the CNN poll shows how you don't compete with Trump by nuking Trump. You compete with Trump by being more compelling than Trump. You learn from Trump. You perform more compelling than Trump. Glenn, what do you make of that idea that Carly Fiorina is learning from Trump, being more compelling than him now, and now surging in the poll?
Well, I also think she just provided a contrast in the way that people can deal with sort of the public stage. And, you know, backing up just a bit to the question of how we've covered him, I do think the conservative media has covered him well. And I think in general, the fact-checking media has also done a pretty good job. My issue is you have a lot of people who are jockeying for access. You know, one of the things that I've been concerned about is when have you ever really seen a major presidential candidate literally phoning it into the Sunday shows? Sunday shows giving him an opportunity to be able to not appear in studio. The guy gets cut a lot of slack and is given a lot of exemptions that other candidates aren't given. I would just like to see.
But do you think that once he's on the phone, though, he has asked tough questions? I mean, I think if Hillary Clinton wanted to call into the show, we'd take her call. But if
but she
Jim
doesn't.
Webb wanted to call in, we wouldn't. If Bobby Jindal wanted to call in, we wouldn't take his call necessarily. There is a dynamic here about being a front runner, is there not?
Well, no, there's a dynamic in being a celebrity who wants to sort of do this from his couch, right? I mean, you know, presidential campaigns. I spent 18 months on the road with Hillary Clinton, and I can tell you, the woman has a cast iron constitution. She was out on she did 6, 7 events a day in Iowa. It was terrible for all of us, right? But she showed up, and I think, you know, what is it? What's the Woody Allen thing? Like 90% of life is showing up. Donald Trump, I think we ought to start noticing this, isn't actually showing up to a lot of things.
Let's pivot to Hillary Clinton for a moment because she's doing her first Sunday show interview in 4 years this morning, appearing on Face the Nation a few minutes ago. We saw an interview blitz of sorts in the past few days, including here on CNN with Wolf Blitzer. And I'm told by the campaign the next interview she'll do is the Tom Joyner Morning Show in a couple of days on radio. Anna, what do you think this strategy is about, all of these interviews from Hillary Clinton? Obviously, the press has been asking for this for many, many months. Will journalists now be satisfied?
Oh, I don't think journalists are ever satisfied with anything Hillary does. That's just the curse of her being Hillary Clinton. I think as a journalist, I'd rather her be more out than not. I think putting herself out there, because she actually, she actually can do well in these situations. For her, I always feel like it is a little bit of a gamble. But you know what? The problem and the advantage of being Hillary Clinton is everyone's already made up their minds about her. There's very few people in the country that are going to be swayed one way or another. By putting herself out there, the people that like her will be reminded why they like her. The people that don't will be reminded why they don't. But at some point, she has to be out there. So I think they're just trying to take control of that a little bit earlier than maybe they had thought they were going to have to before. But of course, I welcome her at least taking questions, even if she doesn't answer them as thoroughly as maybe as I want.
Glenn, have we learned anything from this recent round of interviews? Have they been effective for her?
I think they have been effective for her. And frankly, you know, I wonder what took her so long. You know, a characteristic of Hillary Clinton that I don't think people pay enough attention to is her risk aversion. You know, you saw this manifested in terms of the fact that they wanted fewer debates. You know, I've heard from a lot of Hillary people, former Hillary people and current Hillary people, that she probably would have been advantaged by getting into the debates earlier and sooner. There's a lot of fear that Bernie Sanders projects this authenticity and could really do her damage. And Clinton is capable of making gaffes, as we've seen in the past. But I think we're at a point in time, her unfavorables are higher than they were at any point in 2008, where she needs to get out there and start taking risks.
By the way, Glenn, tell us about this new call for more Democratic debates. We know the first debate scheduled here on CNN mid-October, but there's only 6 scheduled, and there have been increasing calls for more debates, including from the Democratic grassroots.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some petitions circulated. This is obviously being pushed by Martin O'Malley, who has not really gained any traction in the polls. But I can tell you, and particularly, you know, there was a report today in the Wall Street Journal that Biden is considering accelerating his timetable to jump in prior to October 13th. I don't know how true that is ultimately. But I do think there is a real sense that this coronation is in fact a competition, and the number of debates need to reflect that.
Glenn Thrush and Anna Marie Cox, thank you both for spending some of your Sunday with us. I appreciate it.